put it in perspective for us. What's he doing here?
Always, always. I mean, this is a shocking new low, Megyn, because amidst all of that, he also went as far to suggest that the royal family actually wanted him dead. So let's just step back and think about that for one moment, because on the one hand, he's saying, I want reconciliation. I want to have a relationship with my brother again, even though he never wants to speak to me again. I want to speak to my dad again. Yeah, he's probably dying, so I feel a little bit bad about that. Then, in the same breath, he's saying, these guys want me to be unsafe. They want.
Let me just show that. I have that little bit from the BBC interview. We have a bunch of stats, but let me show that last one that he believes they want him dead.
I don't want history to repeat itself. I think there's a lot of other people out there, the majority, that also don't want history to repeat itself. Through this disclosure process, I've discovered that some people want history to repeat itself, which is pretty dark.
That's quite a statement. Who do you think that is?
I'm not going to share it at this point. You know, I know all the names of the people that were involved in this process, and again, you know, you have to question, why wasn't I put through the same risk management board that everybody else was put through?
So the reason they won't pay for his ongoing security when he visits the UK is because they want him dead, Dan.
I know, this is now paranoia and delusion on an actual terrifying scale. Because, Megyn, what he is suggesting is that the royal family is conspiring with the British government to make him unsafe, to see him die in an accident like his mother, Princess Diana, all because actually, this is where his argument gets really weird, they secretly wanted to force him into returning to the UK. Trust me, Megyn, trust me. You know I've covered this story up close for many years.
Yes.
No member of the royal family, not one member of the British royal family wants him back in the United Kingdom. And as for reconciliation, my sources very close to Prince William say that his words were, over my dead body. It's done. It's over. There were red lines. Harry crossed them. And the fact that he is now trying to suggest that the royal family actually want him to die like Diana, well, it's just another step too far. Like, why on earth would they reconcile at the same time as he's putting out actually arguably the most crazy and explosive accusation yet?
Yes, yes. And why would he want to reconcile with people who literally want him dead? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And so it isn't true. That's basically the rule. He, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be stuck with him because he said the following in SOT 42.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point. And the things that they're going to miss is, well, everything. You know, I love my country. I always have done, despite what some people in that country have done. So, you know, I miss the UK. I miss parts of the UK, of course I do. And I think that it's really quite sad that I won't be able to show, you know, my children my homeland.
Ugh. Stomach turning, Dan. And I love my country, you know, despite what some people there have done. He's got so much anger.
What did we do? I mean, all I can think is that we reported the truth, right? We reported the truth about the behavior of his wife, his narcissistic wife, Meghan Markle. Now, Megyn, remember at the time, the idea was that people like me were actually somehow racist because we reported the fact that she was a bully, for example, reported the fact that the late Queen Elizabeth II had called her out for her disgusting behavior, that Catherine had actually confronted her at Kensington Palace about the way that she spoke to staff. That was all racism. There was something about us Brits, we just didn't understand the American way. Well, how on earth does Prince Harry now explain the fact that actually the bullying accusations are piling up from Americans, from the woke Californians working at Archewell, that they're reported in establishment pro-royal magazines like Vanity Fair or The Hollywood Reporter? None of this makes sense. And the problem is Harry is now so isolated. He has ignored so many people for so long. There's only one person who advises him, his wife. And she only cares about trying to protect her own reputation. So all of this is crazy, but the idea that he thinks there is a way back by giving another interview is what's nuts. Because I will say, Meghan, King Charles doesn't feel the same as Prince William. There is a split between father and son on this. So William, when he is on the throne, and very sadly, that will probably be sooner rather than later, given Charles is suffering from cancer, which I believe to be incurable, although Buckingham Palace are saying that he's fighting on and things are pretty good. And obviously we know with medical advances, you can stay alive with incurable cancer for some time. But the long-term or even the medium-term prognosis is not good. And by the time William is on the throne, there is no way back. Meghan, he doesn't even want Harry at his own coronation. So
wow.
It's finished. But Charles is a different type of guy. He feels a lot of guilt for Harry's upbringing. He knows that the War of the Wales, which was obviously Diana versus Charles and all of those TV interviews and Tampon Gate and then the death of Princess Diana, he knows that did screw Harry up in a lot of ways. So Charles still feels this inherent guilt as a dad and was open to some sort of rapprochement. But then Harry went and gave the interview to the BBC, and it is back to square one.
This July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset as BRICS nations push forward with their plans. Some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition won't happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.